What's up, girl?
Hey, girl.
How are you?
I'm good. This rain is making me so sleepy today.
So sleepy. I had the worst time getting up this morning. Like, usually I wake up and in about 30 seconds, my brain is going. Couldn't do it. I'm like this.
We have had such a good week so far. Like, I know we're only 2 days in, but
Knock on wood right now.
Amber has gotten up so fast, so smooth, so loving. No meltdowns, no eye rolls, no huffy puffs, no
Huffy Puffs?
huffy puffs.
Bitch.
No sass. Like, normally I get some little snarky comment about my hair or makeup because she's irritated. So, just got to put that jab in there.
Are you gonna wear your hair like that?
Exactly.
She's a mess.
Her hair's gotten done one time each day. Like, I have not had to redo hair. I have not had to retie shoes. I have not had to yell at her that we're not retying shoes.
Wow.
Winning is winning.
Maybe she's maturing. Maybe she's coming into her own. You know?
We can only hope.
I feel like it's a trade-off, though. We don't have the drama surrounding how tight her shoes are. However, we are getting the insane... I can hear her eyes rolling. I swear. It's like, who are you? How old are you? She's not even double digits yet. And
Oh, my God.
she's going to be the worst of us all.
The constant conversations of, I'm almost a tween mom. I know. Well, girl, you still didn't pick your dirty clothes up out of the bathroom, so...
She is a mess. No, I love her so much. So we had so many boys in a row. I counted there are 8, and then Amber. And she's the last for a reason.
She didn't even walk in. She got carried in.
Yeah.
'Cause God forbid.
Yeah.
She have to actually do anything.
Yes. That child, she's rotten. She's terrible. Nobody can stand her but us, and that's the way we love it. Did it on purpose.
Glad Leland gave me a daughter-in-law. I feel like it's going to be it. I feel like that's where we're ending with my in-laws.
You never know.
Never know.
Well, this is another episode of Asking for a Friend.
I wonder what they're going to ask us today.
Listen, I actually got a lot of questions about co-parenting.
Oh, God.
After Holly's episode, and, of course the messages rolled in of, that's amazing. The main one is, I wish I could have that. And so, it really got me thinking how we have multiple co-parenting situations between the two of us. Like, Holly is just one part of my story, and ours is kind of all over the place. I went from an extremely high conflict situation, like not high conflict to not high conflict now with my boy's dad and his new wife. And you have your own situation. So what I want...
I have 2.
You have 2, yeah, because you have first husband and then second
Nobody
husband.
told me that when I needed a hobby, collecting last names was not it. It's not it. Pick a different hobby.
Collect rocks, bitch.
Rocks, not names. Not marriages.
I told Rich, I was like, there's only one way out of this. Jump in, jump out.
I feel like I'm
gang.
just going to stay out. I'm like,
this
just
was
come by the house, bring you stay the night bag, and then
I
you
was
get gone.
so petrified. I refused to have kids with him. Now I'm kind of regretting that. I think we would have made a cute kid together. But the risk was not worth it for me because I had such a traumatizing experience with my ex-husband that if by some wild chance he ended up being an ex-husband, we didn't have to talk about it ever again. There was no 18 to life.
I'm just saying there's room next to Dee Dee's desk for a pack and play.
Listen, he snipped. That ship has sailed. It's not happening.
Every 10 years, boo, it can grow back.
Well,
that's why I stay paranoid. I'm like, y'all sure them tubes is still tied?
You know what's funny is we have an acquaintance who that happened. It was like well after the 10-year mark, but yeah, it happened. As a matter of fact, my ex's uncle got snipped. They had 2 girls together. He gets snipped. She pops up pregnant. He fucking left her, swearing that she cheated on him. They had a DNA test. That was his baby, and he had to come crawling, groveling back.
Do you not remember old boy on Dad's construction crew? Mm-hmm.
Who?
Paunchy.
He had a...
His last one, he was snipped, and he was like, ain't mine, ain't mine. And I ran into him, like, later on after they already had her, and he was back with the mom, and I was like, yeah, work everything out. And he was like,
it was mine. That's exactly how it went with X's uncle. It was like, she was like, I never did. It's scary. It's crazy. But apparently, it has the statistics are 1 in 2,000. So, who knows? That's the luckiest motherfucker I've ever met. I mean, he found me, so what are the odds?
That last relationship I was in, little comments got made by it. Wouldn't be so bad when I tell you.
Last relationship?
Listen, don't worry about who it was. When I tell you I'm not signing that birth certificate, I don't know. You left the room with the baby. I don't know that's mine. I'm going home. Y'all hash that out.
Danielle.
I don't want no more babies. I want a grandbaby. I just want grandbabies. No more babies.
I feel like grandbabies are the reward for not killing your own kids.
And I don't have to do like the responsible stuff. I don't have to do the mean stuff. I can love on that baby, spoil it, and when they get sassy, I just send them home.
Girl, you ain't sending them home.
They ain't got to go home. They can stay with me, Mom.
So today we're going to talk about co-parenting and how we have found peace. Because some situations I feel like the best you can hope for is peace. Now, I recognize that Holly and I are the exception to the rule. We are the anomaly. Rich was correct. Which, can I say, Rich got type. That's why we're so close. Because we are the same person, different fonts. Swear.
For sure.
So, I feel like that's on him. He did that to himself. Now, I recognize that is, if you haven't listened to Till Death Do Us Part, the episode with Holly, you have to go back and listen to it to understand what I'm talking about, because we went from girl, high conflict was a nice way to put it. We were violent.
Listen, when it first started, like, leveling off, Rich was like, I don't know how I feel about this. I feel a little nervous. I'm like, shit, you feel nervous? I know your wife. Like, know her. I've known her longer.
So, I don't know. It just worked out. I think it was just special. The stars aligned, and now she's with me for life. So, I'm really blessed about that. But that's not the case. That's not the situation with the other side of things for me. And I'll just say this. One, I would not ever say his name or her name on this podcast. I would have in the beginning, but now I would never. But two, I also have a court order saying that I can't.
You should listen. I was going to give you props. That's still growth.
But
you're obeying rules.
I am.
That's gross.
We all know how I feel about rules.
Good job.
No, but I have a court order in place saying that I can't mention their names on social media or tag them in anything because of how high conflict we were. And it was both sides. And I'll tell this story that...
Can I just interject that I'm really surprised you didn't have like a special savings account designated for I don't give a damn, sue me.
We were headed there. And I'll get into that with how this all came about. But we, divorced. He and I co-parented fine. Everything was fine. Then, he dated, I dated, whatever. Nobody cared. He meets his now wife. I mean, he didn't meet her and she was his wife. They were dating at the time. The person who is now his wife. We all know what I mean. Anyways, this is going to be rough today. My ADD is in full swing.
Him?
So I think there is a common thing that happens. And I won't lie, I felt it too. The next woman who comes along after a marriage / they have your child, there's a level of insecurity that you feel. That
Absolutely.
is just human nature. I felt that with Holly. I know she felt that with me. But the catch was, I wanted the divorce. I didn't want to be with him. And ended up, the divorce was the best thing that could have ever happened to both of us because he found his perfect match. I mean, she's as perfect as they can get for him. But they get married. Want. She wanted a kid with him. And we were cool in the beginning. But it slowly, those cracks started to show. And and this still boggles my mind to this day. We went out for dinner. He was having a guy's night. She was like, I need to get out of the house. And we were trying to build our friendship. And I was like, come on. I'm not like the big, scary ex-wife, baby mama that everybody tends to imagine. So we go to dinner. And we have a great time. We go get Mexican. She has a margarita. And they weren't done with guys' night. When we were done, she was like, oh, well, let's go grab a drink. Cool, let's go. I was like, let's go to Chili's. We can sit at the bar. We can watch whatever game is on, whatever. And she was like, no, I know this place. Well, it just so happened to be the bar down from where I live, like our neighborhood bar. And she was like, me and my mom used to go here. I was like, I know this place. I didn't know you knew this place.
That shocked me.
Me too. And the matter of fact, the bartenders there bartended my wedding. Like, I know this place very well. And I was like, well, shit, let's go. Like, it's chill. She ends up getting hammered. Now, listen, that's not bad. That is not the bad. There was no bad part.
I just can't picture it.
She
so
was
hard to picture.
Fucking hysterical. She is this conservative little churchy girl that, like, every mom has to have a mom's night out. Like, you need a time to, like, blow off steam.
She took too long. She had a bunch of them built up in her.
Exactly. And I'm not saying you have to go get drunk to let off steam, but sometimes it builds to the level of you overdo it. And she was so fucking cute. I mean, I enjoyed her sober, but I greatly enjoyed her drunk because she would cuss, but she would whisper, thinking Jesus couldn't hear her if she whispered, oh my God, bitch. And I was like, this is the greatest. So I call Rich. I was like, listen, homegirl can't drive. I'm going to bring her to the house. We'll call my ex and have him come pick her up. And so I remember being on the way, and I'm like, listen, here's the thing. You cannot get mad. Like, I'm prefacing, because I know how he is, I'm like, you cannot get mad. She didn't do anything wrong. She needed to blow off steam. She had fun. She was never inappropriate. So all of your arguments, we're washing those right now. She just indulged a little too much. This was Saturday night. They had church the next morning. They leave that night. He gets her home. He's like, thank you for taking care of her. He's undoubtedly aggravated when he picks her up. Whatever. Not my business, not my marriage. I kept her safe. Never heard from her again. Never could get her.
I just want to know the conversation that was had at home after that.
I know that conversation, but we're not going to get into that. So we get through that, and I was educated very much about having to have court orders in place that you can't.
Those damn things.
You can't do everything on a wink and a shake and a smile.
Yep.
Learned my lesson. Mm-hmm. And so from there we went back to court.
Yep. And
we put things in order. Now, here's what I'll say. It's like a law, right? The court order is the law. Now, what you get to do as a parent is you can choose to be lenient on that law, but that is as strict as you can ever hold them.
Yeah.
And so you can have the best co-parenting situation, and now we're fine. Now we're great. Like I said, I wouldn't even choose to say his name because I don't want to dredge up the past. I mean, this is my story. This really happened, but I wouldn't want to drag them into it. We're in a good place, but before I would have. Absolutely.
In a heartbeat.
In a fucking heartbeat. Because I think that you feel helpless and you just do whatever you can come up with. And so that panic will take over and you'll actually put yourself in a situation where potentially it can be worse off on you. So I think what this taught me for sure is, one, be calm, stay calm. No matter what, you cannot allow your emotions to overtake you, no matter how emotional you are.
It's so much easier to say than do.
It is the hardest thing I have ever had to do, is learn to control my emotions. And two, that your court order is your safety net. This person can be Mother Teresa to the public, but that court order is always going to be your safety net. Yeah. Now, do we deviate from the court order? All the time. But if at any point he decides not to play nice or play fair ever again, we will revert back to that court order. And we still revisit it, because I have a terrible memory when it comes to, what did we do last year? Who had Thanksgiving? Yeah. Who had Christmas? Generally, we just split the day in half. But it's like, okay, who had morning? Who had evening? You know? And as the boys get older, we just let them decide whose house do you want to wake up at? Like, because I'm going to be honest, some people are not morning people, you know, and they want a more chill morning. Some people are, you know, whatever works for them. Mm-hmm. My big rule is, as long as you're spending quality time when you're here with me, I'm not going to hold you to, you're here Monday, Tuesday, you're here Wednesday, Thursday. Noah's going to be driving this year. He's going to go wherever he wants to go. Just make sure that you're keeping me as one of your priorities and you're spending good quality time with me. Yeah. Other than that, live your fucking life. That drove me nuts. Our dad used to guilt the shit out of me. I lived with him full time. If I ever wanted to go out and spend time with you, oh my God.
Well, I'm commission.
You cannot do, I don't know what I'm going to do for these 2 weeks that you're out there. Bitch, live your life.
Go do something. Go find a movie.
Find another fiance. God bless.
Girl. I know you did.
How many did you have? 7?
There was a lot.
And
I think there was a couple we didn't know about. I think they happened so quickly.
No, bitch. The part that killed me is he recycled the rings.
Or he flip-flopped them.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
He would go, here's the ring. He'd get a pew-pew. He'd take the pew-pew back. He'd get the ring. Mm-hmm. Oh, my God.
We can say gun on my podcast.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah.
I ain't trying to get nobody in trouble.
No, we can. But I think that so we went from super high conflict to now we co-parent really well. And I think, one, she had a baby.
Yeah.
Which chilled her out a lot. That's what she wanted. That's all she wanted. And I could not have been happier. And I remember people pulling me aside and going, are you really happy? Like, is this a put on?
Girl, I did.
Well, bitch, I wasn't going to call you out like that, but go ahead.
I sure did. I was like, this ain't safe. Richard. I grabbed Bubba quick. I'm like, what's going on behind closed doors? Like,
I was so happy for her because, one, I knew how much it fulfilled her. And if Holly could let go of the stuff that she let go of, and she and I together could move through the things that we moved through, I went through less with this one, with my kid's stepmom. And so I was like, one, I'm not holding on to the past. And I think that I'm a double water sign. I'm a Scorpio Cancer. You don't hold grudges or get more emotional than moi. My Cap rising is the only thing that saves my ass. Dead ass. And a couple of my Libra placements. But, bitch, I am built for prison.
I should probably study mine more so I understand. Like, I'm not crazy. It's this house. It's that house.
No, my sun is Scorpio. My moon is Cancer, which a moon is your emotional state. In Cancer, the Lord was betting against me on this one. But I knew I had to heal and get past that and figure out. And when she finally did get pregnant, I was like, yes, first of all, please don't let anything happen. But as long as, and I knew also that my kids would feed off of my energy because they rely on me so much. And it truly wasn't fake. I know how much she wanted this baby. I know have always believed babies are never a bad thing, ever, no matter the situation. Like, babies bring you joy, and babies are a blessing. And so I was so excited for that situation, that circumstance to happen, to bring their household together, to bring their family together. And so it was all about, especially with Titus, because I knew he would have to process so much. I didn't know.
So worried about what his reaction was going to be.
I know. I just didn't. But Amber had a baby sister by this point.
I know, but
watching her, and she was able to kind of talk to him about being a big sibling, and so I think that helped a lot. But no, I truly was so excited, and she's never really accepted that. Like, there's always been this like tension even still, but I don't care. I'm not doing it for her. I'm doing it for me and for my kids. And so I think that being able to, the big theme for me has been letting go of the past. Just let it go. Function in the now, where you are now. And you can't live in the past and you can't live in the future because you never know what's going to happen. But holding your boundaries, not overstepping and trying to control what happens at the other person's household. And luckily, knock on wood, both times I've been married, I made sure to marry someone with the same kind of idea of how kids should be raised.
Yeah.
So there's not a lot of difference.
Which is so freaking important. That
So.
alone is one of the most, it's the major, like, that is the difference night and day between marriage 1 and marriage 2.
Because you didn't have that with your first marriage.
Excuse me. God, no.
How did you navigate that? Because not everybody has that. Like, you and, what are we going to call him? Husband number 1. You weren't raised even similarly. You didn't have the same ideas about raising your kids. Like, can I just call him trailer trash?
I don't care.
Like, he's not.
He has fallen off my credit. I have no responsibility to protect, honor, respect. No.
Explain that. Explain falling off your credit.
Oh, listen. Just hold on just a minute. It's an app. So listen.
What is falling off your credit?
Okay, so when you have a child with someone, you stuck in some way, shape, or form for 18 years, and people are like, oh, well, there's more after that. Bitch, that's not my responsibility. That is no longer my responsibility. That child is now an adult. It is their responsibility, their choice on how they want to run their household and their life. And I'm not saying I won't be in the same vicinity, but I don't know you. That is so weird. That man still calls me his ex-wife. Sir, there's a human that has similar DNA to us both. Don't talk to me like you know me. I don't talk to strangers. What is that little countdown app? So, what I did, this is my hill. I will die on this. On God. So I had a countdown with the boys. I can't see, I'm so blind. I knew when so there's 2 from my first marriage. I have 2 boys from my first marriage, a daughter from my second marriage. So I knew when that second boy turned 18, he was going to turn 18 at midnight legally. So at 12:01, I was blocking your ass on everything. You no longer fell off.
And did.
Stuff falls off your credit after 7 years. Unfortunately, having a baby, it takes a lot longer. It's 18. But then I found out we had a clause. I inserted a clause. It doesn't necessarily have to be 18 years because my younger son decided he was grown, and he wanted to graduate early and get out my house. And I was like, finish school, bet. And that's all it took. And I was like, are you done? Are we done? You a man now? Fell off my credit early for good behavior. So that countdown's gone. Don't play with me. So my second countdown.
Oh, yes.
And even though it's not as bad, I feel like the way this one's going, I could definitely still conversate with you. I would even have you in the same photograph with me with like future grandbabies. You mean you gotta be on that side, not on this side. But even I gotta count on him. I have, dang, I don't know how you make these bigger. I have 8 years. Tutu's gonna kill me. I keep bumping the microphone. I have 8 years, 7 months, 1 week, 3 days, 10 hours, and 27 minutes until I am free. That last baby fell off my credit. Listen, and that son of mine, he's expecting a child, and that ex of mine going to talk about, well, we're going to have a grandbaby together. No, we're not. No, we're not. We was not involved. I don't even know how it happened. I don't know what position they was in, nothing. That is my grandbaby when I am present. I'm sharing that damn grass. That's my grandbaby. When I put that baby down, you can pick that baby up. That could be your grandbaby.
There is no us. And that worked for y'all, though. How did you...
I just did it. I didn't ask for it. Like, this wasn't a team effort. Like,
no, but you had to co-parent with him. And it was you and his wife, his current wife. It was weird because... And that's
we
where
went
the
through
difference.
Seasons.
You did. It was
a
like
lot of
she
seasons.
was, but I think honest to God, like this is no joke. I do think she has a mental health issue. I think there's some bipolar or something happening because it is cyclical.
No. Wait just a second. I did too. Honest to God. So I can admit when I'm wrong. It ain't often, but this time I might have been wrong. Cause your girl is hitting that perimenopause phase,
Oh,
and
you
it
think
is.
she was menopausal?
Yeah. Do you realize how much older she is than us? She's like 13, 15 years older.
What?
She's older.
Oh, that clocks with the time.
And she was wanting babies, and she was getting pregnant, and she was going through a lot of hormonal changes.
That does make sense, because my ex-mother-in-law went through it, and about that age. And she came back and apologized for a lot of the stuff that we went through. And she was like, I didn't tell anybody that I was going through menopause, which she had trauma surrounding that because her mom popped up with cancer during that time. And so totally understood. She was like, I did not want to get on hormones because that's what they suspect caused her mom's cancer that she fought through for well over a decade. But same brand makes sense.
So I won't apologize for anything I said or did. I did it with my chest out loud, looking in your eyeballs.
Yeah.
But part of me now, like, because going through this, like starting to go through this and knowing just the moments of like the sudden bursts of emotion to answer someone, or I don't know, it's just the weirdest thing. Even noises, like Amber will be making a noise, I'm like, stop! And I'm like, oh, it is not that serious, girl, calm down.
Yeah.
I think I would have maybe understood more. That does not mean I would have changed how I reacted.
Yeah.
Because I have been for a very long time the type of person where you're getting warnings, right?
Yeah.
Hey.
I love it when
light.
you put your baby daddies in timeout. Bitch, that is the funniest thing I have ever witnessed in my life. She will put them in timeouts where
Adult timeout.
Adult timeouts.
I love it. It is my favorite.
They'll talk funky or step out of line or something, and you give them warnings. You are fair. You're not just like pull the rug out from underneath them.
Do we need a timeout?
But baby daddy number 2 responds. So number 1 lost his shit. Anytime he would
threats.
Oh my God, show up, get somebody else's phone and call you, and you're like, well, they can go into timeout too. Don't. And
we got lots of room.
When he called off of his mom's phone, and she was like, you ain't putting me in timeout.
She sure did. She was like, she not blocking my number. I said, I damn sure will. You can have that corner. He can have that corner.
But you put him in. So tell me the increments. You put him in timeouts for 24 hours.
So what happens is, I'm not going to do it for everything, right?
Right.
Like, if you want to argue, we can argue.
Right.
But if you acting out of pocket, and it really stemmed from the first marriage because he was so abusive.
Very.
He was physically abusive, verbally abusive, emotionally abusive.
And I don't think you can co-parent in a healthy manner with someone who is abusive. So let's say that. So when we talk about healthy co-parenting, it can never
No.
be one-sided.
No. And I think that's why that was so rocky on that side, and
Yes.
it's not with Amber's dad. Because once I got out, at some point I found a backbone. It was almost like this realization of, you didn't take me. You didn't take me out. You said you would, but you didn't.
Right.
And it was this sense, and maybe it was a false sense. I don't know. It could have been like my for real crazy coming out. But I was just like, no, you are not allowed to take away my security. So let me take charge. And one of my favorite ways to take charge was time out, because I pay that phone. You not going to unblock it?
Right.
So he would get aggressive. He would talk aggressive. He would make threats. He would yell. And I started it with, you are not allowed. You do not have permission to talk to me like that. You do not have permission to do X, Y, Z. This is your warning.
What an empowering statement. You do not have permission to treat me poorly.
Absolutely. And so that's kind of where it started. And in the marriage, I used to hate it. Used to put so much fear in me, where he would say, your consequences have actions. Are you sure this is the decision you want to make?
Oh my God. That is such a manipulative statement. Our dad used to say the same thing. And it used to make me absolutely, because you start second guessing. You're afraid
Absolutely.
to move.
So the first time, so we're done, we're separated, and the first time I hung up on him. I think that's what happened. And he called back, and he told me, better not hang up on him again, or I would regret it. And I was like, how am I going to regret it? Please tell me in clear detail so I understand. Why am I going to regret hanging up on you with a phone that I pay for and own? And so he proceeded to tell me, and I was like, let me tell you how this is going to work. If you decide that you want to talk funky to me, I'm going to hang up. I'm going to hang up boldly, quickly, swiftly, and I'm going to block you. You're going to be blocked for 24 hours. After 24 hours, I will reach out to you, and I will see if you want to start over. We're not revisiting. We will start over.
Right.
If you get funky with me again, I'm going to put you in timeout. And it's not just blocked on the phone. You get blocked, like, you absolutely have no way to even prove that I exist in life.
Yeah.
Like, you can't prove I'm a living human. You're gone. So the second time you talk funky to me a second time, then it's 48 hours. Third time, and you just keep adding 24 to it, right? You just keep.
What was the most he was ever blocked?
8 days.
He's real.
8 days.
And that's not 8 days combined. That's 8 days was the longest stint. So it took him 8 timeouts to get to that. He's real dense.
He used to have a lot of stamina when it came to arguing.
Miserable.
Yeah, I was like, dang, if you could have put that stamina in every other aspect of your life,
Yeah.
you might have been worth a damn.
But he learned. He learned after that. And you never kept him away from the kids. I remember one time you unblocked him so that he could talk to the boys.
The boys would have to call him.
The boys would call him. He would talk to them. And he'd be like, put your mama on the phone. And they'd hand you the phone.
And
you just hang up and block him. It was so funny.
Or I would ask, like, I had a couple of family members, like, I would ask to be like the liaison.
Yeah.
Dad did it a few times. Grandmama did it once.
Yeah.
Mom did it a few times. I feel like you handled a couple of calls.
No, I did not.
Did you not?
No, ma'am, I did not.
Maybe.
He called my phone because you blocked him. And I'm like, he was like, I can't get a hold of your sister. And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, no, she's right. Not understanding. And then after that, I'm like, I don't know who you're talking about. Hey, I can't get a hold of your sister. I can't either. Click.
That he hands down, I think, forever and always will be my favorite person to put in timeout. And like, even going forward, as soon as I was like, kiddo, you sure you grown? Like, I blocked him. somehow, I don't know if it's a new number or whatever, but he called me or no, he texted me, and it said his name, but my son is his namesake, so I thought
It was the oldest.
yeah, I thought it was my kid.
Yeah.
So I responded, right? I was like, "Oh, hey baby, thank you so much. I love you, blah blah blah." And he was like,
Ugh.
"It's me." And I was like, "Ew, no, never mind. What the fuck? No, okay, bye." And I blocked it. No, I didn't. I went to block it, and I must have gotten a call or something, because the next day I got another message, and I was like, "Nay, nay."
He steady keep trying to talk to you. I don't understand it.
And this whole my ex-wife.
See, that's the thing. For
Why do
me,
you keep claiming? Don't claim me.
for me, if we don't have kids together, you can't prove we were ever together. AI is a thing. Unless we share children. No, we didn't date. I never heard of you.
I don't know. That one's just so crazy. Now, Amber's dad has been put in timeout just a handful of times. It's not been very
Real
often.
short
now.
stints, too.
But again, keep in mind, this man saw firsthand how I did timeouts, because we were living together and married, and he enjoyed the timeouts. Like, we would sit on the couch and just talk shit and crack jokes, and and he was like, wow. And he picked up the habit a few times.
But that is a version of the gray rock method. And that's something that you were not good at in the beginning, that you had to learn to be good at. When dealing with a narcissist, you can do deep dives and stuff on gray rock method, but it's basically just them you not feeding into their ploys of getting you emotional, because that is satisfaction for them. It's literally like this sinister game. And if you give them any semblance of a reaction, an emotional reaction, they've hooked you, and they know to revisit that every time. And so not only did you have to undo damage control and reteach him how to interact with you, you had to do it for your own peace of mind as well. And you have turned into a completely different person.
And I was doing, and I want to put this out there, because some people are like, oh, like, this is really hard. I don't know what I'm doing. I was doing that without knowing what I was doing.
Right.
Like, there was, at the point in life that I was married to and left and divorced husband number one, there was nothing healthy in my life.
Right.
There was no talk of boundaries and respect, and like, it was not. It was the most, I don't want to say trailer park, right? Because like, I've met some really decent people out of a trailer park.
Girl, we lived.
Like,
that's how we grew up.
What trash? Just that trash mentality. And that was like one of the hardest, as I did learn, right? As I did start educating myself to become more emotionally intelligent.
Yeah.
One of the hardest things for me to handle and get past was the difference in who the woman I am today versus the woman I was then. Because, there was a period of time, like, I would get this obsessive desire, like, I just wanted to take a bleach bath.
Yeah.
Because I was so disgusted.
You were dealing with shame. And first of all, you had nothing to feel shameful for. You did the best you could given the circumstances, because you went straight from a very abusive household with our mom into an abusive household with him. And because I don't know how we've turned out halfway normal, but we did. Woo woo.
I don't know. And it's so crazy, because he found a letter, I think that it was written to you, that apparently I never mailed. Because, back then you had to mail letters. You wasn't texting. That apparently I was like explaining to you that he wasn't all that pretty. Like, I didn't find him attractive at all, but
oh no,
he was fun enough, he was nice enough, and like, it was negative, but I was like rationalizing why I was going to date him, because I was so desperate to just like get away. It was like an opportunity out, because at the time he was independent, he was like doing his own thing.
And you were like 15.
16, yeah.
16.
Yep. And I very much did. Like, he found that letter. It was so bad. That's really when the abuse started. I just didn't know that's what it was.
Yeah.
Because it was so subtle.
Yeah.
And I thought that I was wrong, right? Like, he found the letter. Those weren't nice things to say. And for days, I was just berated
Yeah.
with, guilt and by
Hatefulness.
the time, and by the end of it, I'm apologizing for everything. And it's all my fault that we're even arguing because I had said something, when in reality I should look back and be like, well, this ain't gonna work out. You got to go.
Right. But at 16 years old, especially the type of 16 that you were, there's no way you could have rationalized that. There's no way you could have taken a step back and seen that. But you did come out of it on the other side. You did survive him, and you did find your strength, and you're such an amazing person, but you've even figured out how to co-parent with him and his new wife in a way that blew me away. I was like, and at the time I was still married to my first husband, and so, I mean, we weren't even talking about divorce. But even then, I was like, there is no way in hell I would be okay with the things you're okay with.
It was very much a roller coaster with that whole situation. The divorce was very hostile. There was abuse that led up to that, so we had to work through that. And directly after that, dealt with a few incidences where he tried to keep the kids, and my hands were tied because he was a corrections officer, and nobody wanted to help me. Everything was getting covered up or pushed off.
Literal police reports would disappear.
Or get changed.
Yeah.
I had to rewrite a statement 2 or 3 times because my lawyer found that my statement was incorrect. A sergeant, I should have gotten arrested. I truly should have. I climbed on top of his car because he refused to write a report for me. And I was like, I know you can't do anything. I just need the report
filed
for court.
Yeah.
And he refused, and he screamed at me. And I remember being so hysterical. I just climbed over the, what is that push guard? I just climbed over it and sat up there. And I was like, well, I'm not leaving.
Danny.
I was lit, and we know, I won't say his name on here, but we're very familiar with who he was.
Yeah.
And, he grabbed me off the hood of that car, and I was just like, remember the ball field? We can remake that. Like,
yeah.
I want this report. Like, you're going to hear my voice. So I remember the turning point. She got pregnant, and she was older. There were some issues. That she ended up having the baby early, very, very, very early, and it was touch and go. They had no idea if their baby was going to survive. It was really emotional. I was making a few trips to bring my kids to see them because my kids were very aware that they were going to have a sibling. And the turning point for me, we were at a park, letting the kids play so that they could spend time with them. And she was crying and she was hurting, and she seemed like she was at the end of a rope, and she just wanted to bring her baby home. She just wanted her baby, and something in me just like broke, and I was like, I want you to bring your baby home.
Yeah, that's empathy.
And it just, from that day, I went home. I remember going home and crying on the way home and thinking, I just need to start praying. Like, what can I do to get this baby home with them? And luckily, it was a journey for them, but the baby did live and is healthy and happy and, now older. But being able to see her and now and finding out that's all she ever wanted, right? She just wanted kids. She was unable to have kids. Seeing that love, and I was just like, I don't hate you like I thought I did.
Yeah.
And up until that point, she had been making my kids call her mom, and we had a lot of verbal altercations, physical altercations over that. But I saw my kids love her.
Yeah.
And I saw how she loved her child, and I watched how it was all together. Like, I didn't really see a difference. And I don't know. I was just like, okay, live and let live. And when I let that go, it wasn't long after that we had met up, the adults met up and had a conversation. And he ended up admitting a lot of terrible things he had done.
Yeah.
And apologizing. And then he got sick. And more truths came out, more apologies came out. And we kind of just agreed to let the past go and move forward. And that season was great. Like, it was so easy. The kids were thriving, all of them. Like, at one point, we were doing get-togethers. Like, I would call her. We would go to a circus or a fair together with all of the kids. They ended up having a second child. Again, issues incurred. And we were just like, hey, this is a family effort. This is a team effort. But it was a season. And it was, unfortunately, at the time, I didn't realize it was a season that wouldn't last. They began to have marital problems.
And it spilled out.
Yes.
The animosity spilled out.
I was so mad. I found out.
Yeah.
Because he accidentally texted me. And it was the message intended for the mistress. And I lost it. I was like, I don't even like you. I am not co-parenting with you. I will co-parent with her. Like, I'm done with you, right?
Yeah.
And there was even a little bit of time where she was back in Florida.
Yeah.
And I did. I co-parented with her.
Yeah.
And we swapped kids. And
yeah.
And then as they repaired their relationship, I guess, whatever it was they were doing, things just became bitter and soured.
But now she's in the same position in their marriage that she knows because of his own admittance that you were in. So I can only imagine in her mind, she thought for all of this time, she's better than you, better wife for him than you, better woman than you. And so she kind of got to sit up on a pedestal, like a soapbox. And now she has to live with the realization that she's not a better woman. She can't keep her man home. She can't, it's a problem with him, though. That's what she needs to understand. It's not a her or a you problem. Men cheat because they're pieces of shit, not because you did anything wrong.
As the kids got older,
I don't understand why it's such a hard concept. Sorry to cut you off. Just fucking leave. It's free to leave, dude. Just leave. Don't cheat on them. Just leave. You don't even have to leave the house. Just leave the marriage. Hey, I'm going to get out as soon as I can, but we're breaking up.
Oh, it's 100% it's insecurity on his part. He knows he ain't shit. Because what he's cheating with ain't shit. Like,
but it's just, it burns me to death. Just leave. Just leave. Because you do so much damage. The fallout is so much worse. I mean, look at what's happening, and it just bothers me.
That is a chapter of life that is closed.
Yes.
And even with the grandbaby coming, like, I know I'm at a point in life now that I'm mature enough and aware enough and in control enough that I can be polite and cordial.
Yeah.
That is the most you're getting. You're getting no more than the average stranger that I pass in Starbucks when I accidentally bump into him, grab my coffee.
And sometimes that is the best that you can hope for. Sometimes just being cordial is the best you're going to get out of the situation. Not every circumstance is going to be like Holly and I. I don't even have that with my kid's stepmom. Not because she's the stepmom. I think she's a great stepmom. But I also think that, like what you said with your kid's stepmom, a little bit of empathy goes a long way. Yeah. And going back to what I said, not living in the past and not living in the future, just living in the current state that you're in. Because, like you said, there's no way you could have known that season wasn't going to last. Yeah. And had you been living in the future, then you could have had so much anxiety. You could have blown up a whole great situation that was happening. And so just living in the moment where you are and handling each situation as they come. And that's so much easier said than done when you're talking about co-parenting with an abusive person or a narcissistic person. But you always have an option of putting them in timeout, gray rock method.
Absolutely.
Like, you just have to come at it from a place of, I am not going to be controlled by you. I'm not going to let your antics control me, and just trying to live with some humanity, because being a stepmom is not easy. Being a bio mom is not easy. And like you said, there's no way you could have known she was going through menopause. She wasn't honest about it. Hell, maybe she didn't even know. But you never know what another person is going through. And just looking at it, from a neutral aspect and going, okay, there's clearly more to this story than I could comprehend. And being open, just being a little bit open to co-parenting in a different way that maybe isn't, cookie cutter 2.5 kids goes to the Baptist church on Sunday.
And from that, I ran with it. So, and another thing that my children taught me a lot in that too. Like, they very much would explain to me, like, let me love the people I love. Like, my relationships are not your relationships. And I had to understand and embrace that. So when I ended up with my second marriage gone, and he brought in another woman, I almost ran her just slap off, because in my brain I was like, okay, I'm going to get it right this time, right? Like, this is going to be easy peasy smooth. And I probably was a lot for her. Like, I will acknowledge the fact that she was probably like, WTF, keep that woman away from me. Because I just showed up, like, knock, hey, how you doing? They were long distance to start with. So when she would be in Florida, I'd show up at his place and be like, hey, girl, I want to chit chat, about the kids, because she was around my kid. And then, of course, my own little, and I don't think it was an insecurity. I think it's just like a pet peeve. She interjected, she overstepped. I felt like she overstepped in a couple of decisions.
Yeah.
And I love me some come to Jesus meetings, and we did that real quick. So she and I've cycled with them as well. Although I will say, I am content. We can all be in the same room, in the same house. Even though she and we have been very honest. Like, he and I have been honest, like, hey, you're not my person, and I don't care to be your friend.
Yeah.
But we respect each other as the parent.
Yeah.
And we have zero doubt in each other that we love our child and we are wanting the same goal.
Yeah.
So it makes the parenting part a little easier. And then as far as Amber's bonus mom, like, she was very shocked. Like, when Amber started struggling with what to call her, I was like, Amber, I really don't care. Like, pick a name out of a hat. I do not care. It does not affect me one bit. I cared in the beginning with the boys, but once they kind of taught me, I didn't care. Call her mama, call her, Mama C, Mama what, Bomo. I don't care. She was appalled, and she immediately called me, and she was like, oh, hell no. Yeah. Absolutely. We're not doing that. And I was like, girl, my bad. Like,
yeah, but that's a boundary for her.
It was, and I loved that I could respect her for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we can still talk. We share pictures, we share stories, we share information, and then we irritate each other, and then we just pause.
But that's respecting her where she's at, and that's having that empathy. Like, my kid's dad has raging ADHD. Always has, literally Hemi the squirrel. Yeah. And he's unmedicated right now for some other health issues. I know this. Does it aggravate me? Fuck yes. The man sucks at communication. It's like he goes through clusters of communication, and then he's off his rocker with community. Like, I hear nothing, and it's usually important shit. I could let that eat me inside, but I have to remind myself it's not personal. Yeah. It's not personal. He's not doing that to be hateful to me. He's doing that because he can't help it. And so allowing people to be human, and I remind him, like, hey, checking in. Is there anything important you need to tell me? 9 times out of 10, there is, But he knows I'm not doing this to be a bitch. to remind him of some kind of made up shortcoming. You have ADHD. It's just part of who you are as a human. Like, he doesn't take it as an insult, and I don't attack him for it.
Yeah.
And I think a lot can be said about just treating people like people. Everything doesn't have to be loaded with animosity.
Yeah.
And girl, that court order is going to be your saving grace.
Oh, I learned after the first one. I messed up with the first one. So when that second one rolled around, I was like, have a seat. I mean, we are going over everything down to how many bare minimum minutes am I getting on the phone with her a day.
Yeah. And a lot of people don't want to have these conversations because they're hard.
Yeah.
Because you think,
uncomfortable.
I'll never have to use this. What's the point? Because when things are good, it's great. When things are bad,
they're really
when
bad.
It comes to your kid, it's awful. So go into it with a mindset of, maybe this person will never make me use this, but just in case they do, I at least have this.
Yep.
And then you don't have to worry. What I learned is that police officers can only enforce what's on a judge-signed court order.
I'm done.
You are so close.
I will never co-parent with anyone ever again. I am done.
Bitch, I am glad you will never co-parent with anyone again. I swear to God, your co-parenting situation brings me more stress than mine.
It really do.
Well, on that note, thank you for being willing to open up about all of this, because if even just a little bit of what we talked about can help, maybe we did our job.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
And this isn't just for women. This is also for men.
Men too. Time out. Adult time out.
Girls can go on time out too?
Beautiful.
Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us today and being part of our latest episode of Asking for a Friend. Until next time.
Razzle dazzle.